All right, folks, we are back after that small break.
Jay Z.
Hey,
Okay, I was saying something and I didn't realize that we had gotten cut off. Jay, don't worry about that. We only get when we all have we only have 40 minutes. So at the 40-minute mark, it just cuts off and we just send a new link. So here's the deal. I was saying that to speak into both of your points. One, and I don't know how much got recorded, so I'm just going to reiterate it. Like, my wife has a college degree. My mother has a master's degree. My wife has a master's degree. My daughter has a master's degree. I own a house. I own 2 cars. I don't have a college degree. I would say that my wife having her degree contributed certainly to us owning a house and 2 cars, but I also contributed. And I don't necessarily think college education is completely relevant. I think the issue is the education that we are getting in high school. I think that we're not getting taught things in high school that prepare us to excel. Right. So high school prepares us to go into this world where, well, coming out of high school, right? The world, the way it's set up in America, in a capitalistic society, is set up such that everything that's necessary to live, you have to pay for. Everything that you need in order to health insurance, everything that you need in order to continue to stay alive is going to cost you money. Your next level of education, if you want to get a job that's going to push you into, the American engine is a capitalistic engine, which means, and I'll give you an example. Back in the day, people were trained in school to come out of school and go work in a factory on an assembly line, because the assembly line is what drove capitalism. Then the educational system changed. Because we got a computer processor, and then computers started pushing the engine of capitalism. So our educational system changed in order to prepare people to leave school. Now we don't need you to go to a trade school. We need you to go to college, and we need you to learn these specialized things so that you can excel in this world that is driven by computers. But in the meantime, anyone who doesn't have that acumen, or who just by their very nature aren't equipped to do jobs in those fields, are left out in the cold, because they're not taught simple things in school, like what credit is, how to apply for homeowners loans, or things of these nature. So what you find out is we find ourselves in situations where we're getting educated on credit by the creditor.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? We're getting educated on how to purchase a house by those people who are selling the houses, the banking systems. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't see them giving us the proper education. You know what I mean? They're giving us the education that benefits them. And I think little steps like that, like what we learn on a high school level, real world stuff. Like, you don't need to be
of course.
You don't need to be a computer programmer.
That's why they used to have home ec and shop.
Right.
Yeah, no, obviously.
I mean, there are several vocations that exist in capitalist America that don't require college education, and you can live. I mean, contract work, carpentry, electricity, like real jobs.
Yep. I am one of those.
Right.
I am a chef.
I know.
And back in those days when they had home ec, were they teaching people to season their food?
No, I didn't learn how to cook at home ec. I learned how to sew. I learned how to do basic stuff.
We did food as well in home ec.
We did food as well.
Yeah, we did as well.
We did food as well.
But they didn't really teach us how to season our food.
They weren't teaching you how to be a chef.
Right.
They were teaching you how to keep home.
Right.
Keep a home.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's what home ec was. It wasn't culinary. It was, here's how to keep a home.
Yeah.
Here's
how to work on your budget.
Like I remember actually being like one of the first few classes that was able, as a female, to take shop and home ec.
Okay.
Like, that's how short our history is on that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm 41 years old, 42. How old am I? 41 years old. And that's how short it is that I remember
you're no
being
longer 40 something. You're now 40 thing.
I'm 40 stuff. But I was one of the first classes that was able to take both home ec and shop.
I did as well.
You're younger than me.
No, I'm not.
I know.
No, it's because I grew up with a lot of people who didn't take home ec and shop.
But that was the mentality. But they should have changed the education system prior to our generation. Do you know what I mean? They should have changed it prior to our generation. I remember having computer class and doing like ... run.
Yeah, those were those days, right?
You remember?
Yeah.
Like, I remember having the first computer class. I remember having, you know what I mean? Like, but they were still stuck in the one income, teach the women how to sew, cook, tend house. They were still in that mentality. And there was a clear, like, challenge. Like, there was a clear, like, mishap. There was a clear mishap because we were taught to go to work, suck it up, work hard, and you'll get what you need. No, I worked hard my whole life. I've been a chef for 25 years. I worked my body to the ground, and I don't have anything to show for it. You know what I mean? Like, it's a different life. Like, everything's different now. One person can't just go to work and work hard and buy a house. Two people have to have master's degrees, yada, yada, ish. I know there are exceptions, obviously. But I'm just saying, like, in general, most people my age that just worked hard or just did a thing don't own houses. They'll live on the west side now because Elmwood's too expensive. And some of them were able to buy a double. But, like, nobody's living that, like, picket fence American dream anymore. You know what I mean?
Yep. For sure.
Like, I don't know, like, we're both 40. My partner and I are both 40, and we're finally looking at buying a house because we have help. You know what I mean? And
yep.
we both worked our asses off our whole lives. We didn't miss work. We did what we were supposed to do. You know, we went to work sick. We, were there early. We did what we were supposed to do. And, like, we're not frivolous with money. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we did what we were supposed to do. And, like, it's just, like, to me, that's just a more common story than other stories.
Yeah. It's not the American dream the way it was before, for sure.
Right.
For sure.
Like, I was talking to my mother about it, and I said, like, you were raised, my mother's a boomer. I'm like, you were raised by somebody that was an immigrant that moved here and got a bachelor's, which in those days was equivalent to a doctorate, and worked his way up from picking fruit to a bachelor's. And they had a huge house, and my mom got whatever she wanted, and and my grandpa just said, work hard, do this, and my mom did. She worked hard, and my mom doesn't understand. And my mom got a house. Her and her ex-husband had a house, the whole 9 yards. My mom doesn't understand that we did what you told us to do. We worked hard. We didn't call off. We went to work like every day. We worked hard for other people. And we don't have it. Like, we don't have what you guys had. We don't have 401ks. We don't have retirements. We don't have health insurance. We don't have that. Like,
it's interesting, the dynamics, because like I look at my family history and I probably shouldn't even say it because I might paint a picture that's contrary to what society looks like, right? But like my grandfather's father was a slave, right? My grandfather had eight kids. My grandfather.
Your grandfather's father. Okay, heard.
My grandfather's father was a slave. My grandfather had 8 kids. My grandfather owned property, a house. All 7 of his kids, not all 8 of his kids, some of them are dead, but all 8 of them own their own houses. All of their children own their own houses. My mother being one of his youngest, the youngest of his 8. You know what I mean? Like, it's interesting. Most of his grandchildren own their own houses. So it's just like an interesting dynamic, because this is just my family story in America, at least from slavery. So it's just kind of an interesting contrast, and I don't want my story to speak for or speak against what you guys are talking, because I recognize my story to be the exception. No, I kind of recognize it to be the exception. My story to be the exception. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't like my grandfather had it easy, for sure. Like, he was a product of Jim Crow. You understand what I'm saying? Like, so it was, he lived through civil rights, and and my mother was born pre-civil rights.
Hey, do you have
the youngest of 8?
Do you have the ability to turn back on your screen?
I do. Why?
Ish.
I do. Why? I just put my phone down. Why?
Oh, okay. No, I just kind of wanted to see you while you were talking about what you were talking about.
Okay. I got it back on.
Okay.
I got it back on. Hold on.
Okay. So we have 2 minutes before we have to jump for our meeting. I'm just going to text Dee ahead of time to make sure that we're on. So
I was saying I definitely don't want it to be
podcast.
What's that?
No. We don't have another. Not a podcast at all.
Was that your pre-podcast?
No, it's not a podcast.
Was that your warm-up podcast?
But I definitely don't want my family story in this country to be the story, because obviously it's not. Like, they're exceptions, right? Like, my grandfather's situation is certainly we're exceptions. But I just think it's an interesting dynamic that, like, all 8 of his children, at a point or another, own their own homes. All of their children own their own homes. And all of his grandchildren, not all of them, but a vast majority of them, except for the ones that live in New York City, obviously, they don't own their own homes. But the ones that are here, that live in Buffalo, like my cousins, both of them, well, my youngest cousin doesn't, but my cousins, my sister owns 2 houses.
Hey, we have to wrap up so we can, do the end of the show wrap up, and Dee's ready to begin at 9. So, thank you, Jamie, for joining us. Sorry, it was a little bit of a choppy episode, but it was great.
Yeah,
and, we definitely want to have you back on again.
Yeah, we didn't really get to like the heart of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is anyone available after? Is anyone available later tonight, or what are people's deals?
I am. Jamie is. We'll see you then.
Okay. All right, cool. So we'll be back on that ish.
Love how I just volunteered Jamie because we love each other.
Yeah. Thanks again. Check you folks out later.